Most people's idea of a job is pretty simple. You commute in, you work, you go home. Then there are those people who have thrown away the 9 to 5 altogether. For these amazing individuals, their office is wherever they decide to go that day, and their hours are whatever they choose. Some are funny, some are terrifying, and some are downright dangerous. But together, they make the most amazing street performers in the world. Sometimes a street performer's acts are so impressive that they're asked to perform in bigger and better venues. And sometimes they're so extreme that they're banned from performing outside. Morg is a mixture of both. He started on the street and was eventually asked to join the famous Venice Beach Freak Show. He swallows swords, pushes fish hooks through his nose and out of his mouth, and lays on razor blade beds. But his most dangerous stunt is regurgitation. Just be warned, this one's not for the squeamish, but if you want more, you can find him at Morg Official on Instagram. Obviously, the talent street performers have are important, but sometimes the banter is just as fun to watch. I couldn't find this man's name, but he performs in Sydney all the time, and watching him joke with his audience is almost as fun as watching him juggle knives. Just watch what he does when people start walking past.
I'd like to introduce you to my manager. Shut up, he's crap, that's why I'm working here. Get me a theater! God's sake!
However, his tricks are pretty cool too, especially since he manages to tease his crowd without losing focus.
Nice, and that's the audience, that's it! That's awesome, okay, second trick. Over this side, for you guys. Thank you for coming up.
Now there are a lot of puppeteers working as street performers, but not many like this guy. Jolly Rotten is a punk busker character that travels around the UK to perform, and you can recognize him thanks to his huge backpack and gravelly voice. The most impressive thing about him is that even though the puppeteer is clearly the one walking around and playing the recorder, it's basically impossible to figure out how he's hidden. What's better than one awesome street act? Two awesome street acts working together, of course. This guy is known as Taylor Thaw 1, or you can find him on Facebook as Hop Hop Acrobat, and he's a contortionist with some pretty mind-boggling tricks.
Yeah!
Anyway, this performance was really special because he teamed up with twin acrobats Tit and Tat. They ended with this move, which you really shouldn't try at home. So this is another guy who worked at the Venice Beach Freak Show for a while, but his skill set is a little different from Morg's. Murugan the Mystic is a pretty mysterious guy. He can apparently move his organs from the inside and drive skewers through his body without bleeding. Don't worry though, the act I'm going to show you is way safer. It just involves him laying on a bed of nails with 800 pounds of weight on top of him. Pretty much everyone who's ever played sports has a few football or soccer tricks up their sleeves, but they've got nothing on this guy. I mean, this mysterious British street performer managed to balance a ball on his head while climbing right to the top of a lamppost. Just take a look. Some street performers do crazy, unbelievable, or downright dangerous things to get a crowd's attention, but some rely on pure talent. Jack Broadbent music looks just like any other busker at first, but then you hear him play. Not only is he an amazing freestyler, but he also uses a whiskey flask instead of chords, and not many people can say that. I'm spotlighting another musician now, but I'm not sure if we can call this one a solo act. After all, he is playing guitar and panpipes by himself at the same time, but he also has two friends playing the guitar beside him. Don't understand? Well, you will. Just take a look. So I'm not sure why, but a lot of Australian and British acts seem to go over to America to perform. And these are two of the coolest. Even better, they both have stunts that involve being super high up, so you might want to look away if you're afraid of heights. The first is Alakazam, also known as the Human Knot, also known as Al, who, as well as being a contortionist, is able to spin a tall blade on its face while also juggling knives. Then there's this trio of student acrobats who have a ton of tricks, including juggling knives at the top of an insanely high unicycle. They say that great artists can make art out of anything, and watching this guy, I have to say I agree. Gordo Drummer is a street performer with a significant following and even his own YouTube channel, and yet all he has are some buckets and a pair of drumsticks. Take a look. Not impressed? Well, sometimes he limits himself to just one bucket, and the results are still incredible. Everyone knows it's impossible to see a transformer in real life, but trust me, this performer is the next big thing. It's quite a short clip, but it shows just what this guy is capable of, and even though the trick is simple, it's super effective. Plus, it's an awesome idea for a Halloween costume if you can figure out exactly how it works. The last performer transformed into a robot with the help of an awesome costume, but this guy transforms using only his body. This robot man uses a combination of epic street dance abilities and comedy to match the music exactly, and even though a lot of people do this style of performance, I think he might be one of the best. Have you ever seen the movie Labyrinth? Because this next act is just like that, but with a much more modern soundtrack. In case you didn't understand that reference, this guy can make his crystal ball obey his every wish and hang in midair with hardly any support. Pretty spooky, right? There's no strings attached. He's doing all of this using a form of object manipulation called contact juggling. The ball just has no reference points, so combined with his skills, it looks like it's floating. Now when you first think about it, glass bottles and wine glasses don't sound like an exciting starting point for a performance. But these two acts prove that they can be. Mitchell Lazuri is also known as the master of the unusual, and it doesn't get more unusual than rollerblading down the street playing Mozart's Symphony No. 40 in G minor with glass bottles. Then there's Peter Patina, whose talent combines music and glass as well, only he uses water-filled wine glasses to create pitch, and the result is just magical. Normally, when you can't tell what is happening during a street performance, that's not a good sign. But you're just going to have to trust me on this one. I'm going to show you the last 20 seconds of this painter's act. See if you can figure out the twist before he reveals it. If you want another example of an artist whose work comes together right at the last moment, then this is your guy. It takes almost 5 minutes, which might sound like a lot, but considering the quality of work he's creating, it's actually pretty incredible. So far we've had a couple of dancers and a couple of puppeteers, but nothing quite like this next guy. His name is Sebastien Campos, and his combination of dance and puppets makes for a performance that's just as goofy and funny as it is impressive, even if the costumes could maybe do with an upgrade. There aren't many things cooler than human street performers, but animal street performers are definitely on that list. I'm not even sure what my favorite part of this video is. I'm caught between the dog's awesome costume, the slick choreography, and just how happy the puppy looks while it bounces through all those moves. This is definitely one of the more bizarre acts out there, but I'm willing to bet it's also one of the most difficult to master. I mean, Uncle Ho manages to break a coconut with just one finger. How many people do you know who are capable of doing that? Living statues are basically the be-all, end-all street performance, and there are too many great examples out there to count. However, London's Silverman is maybe the most impressive because at first glance, it's very difficult to tell how the illusion has been achieved. This genie-themed living statue is another with an illusion that is hard to figure out, and even harder to stop looking at, and it helps that he's probably the friendliest one in this video. They work because the performer is usually sitting on or attached to a harness that extends from the base. That said, I'm still not entirely sure how this umbrella man, who usually performs at Oxford Street in London, achieves such an amazing tilt. But Madrid's living statue artists are even more unique. True to their name, they only move their eyes when someone places a coin in their box. Which street performer did you think was the most amazing? And do you have an awesome performer in your town? Shout them out in the comments or let us know if you have your own talent you'd love to take to the streets one day.